Well, welcome everybody. This is a great time of year. It's fun. No matter how many years you do it, it's exciting, you know. And with the weather, has slowed us down a little bit at the beginning, but you know we've taken advantage of some really nice days and love where our guys are at right now. You know, less than 2 weeks away, getting back in it and competing. Excited about this year's team. You know, we certainly lost a lot of really good players, but I think we set a standard for our program and where we want to be. And our next step is having sustained success, and that's what really good programs do year in and year out. They survive drafts, and you just reload and you continue to have success and raise the standard of your program, and that's the goal we're looking forward to this year. And I'm looking forward to seeing a whole lot of new guys that I haven't competed with compete when the lights go on, and we'll find out soon enough how that's going to look. But looking forward to it. But thanks for everybody for coming today.
Coach, I was wondering if you could maybe speak about each of the young men sitting up here.
Well, you know, Nick English is he did something that's very difficult to do. You play at a high level as a freshman in college baseball. There's a heck of a learning curve these days with the average age of college baseball and the portal and in the fewer amount of rounds in the MLB draft has made our sport really, really good and playing at a high level with older kids. So it's really difficult for a high school graduate to come in here and play and be a major part of our offense. And he'll do the same for us this year. Guys always make a jump their second year, and I thought Nick had an outstanding freshman year, so looking forward to it. Kyan Lodice has been here for a long time and knows our program, and we're fortunate to have him because he's a great leader. The stuff he does off the field might be more important than what he does for us on the field, although I do think he's a tremendous player. He's very talented, and he does all the things we want offensively. You know, he sees a ton of pitches. He can steal a base. He can hit a home run. He's one of our smartest base stealers and base runners. But his leadership, and especially when you're transitioning and the majority of your locker room is new, you have to have the strong core group to maintain what your culture is, and that's what Kyan does best, and he maintains our culture. And Ruhl, really the same. You know, these guys have been with us and taken our program to the next step, and they feel like they're family members, really. You know, and we've put both these guys in big spots for a lot of years, and it's just good to come into a clubhouse that has new faces when you know you have the leadership from these two guys. And David Bishop is he's been with us here now for a couple years, and he definitely feels like a wildcat to me. You know, he runs our defense from the first base position, and that's very rare. You know, he lines up all our cuts and relays and our positioning, and he just brings a nice calming presence to the field defensively, and there's more in there offensively. You know, and I just think that power tool is going to come out this year a little bit more, and the trust factor really with all four of these guys is at a super high level. And for me, that's the end all be all when I make a lineup or make game time decisions, is the trust factor in the players, and they can't get any higher than with these four guys right here.
A year ago this time, you said, I'm not sure there's anybody who's going to play a tougher schedule in the country than Kansas State. And do you believe that to be the case this year? What do you think about the non-conference schedule and the way it sets up?
I think so. That's how I go about the scheduling. You've heard me talk about the RPI many times, and you have to play good people, and you have to play away games, and at Kansas State you have to find your away games and your good opponents really from an RPI standpoint out of region, so you have to get on a plane. But I always have thought that the tougher the schedule you play non-conference before you get in the big league, get you Big 12, that gets you ready for Big 12 play. Travel's tough. It makes your kids resilient. Playing in uncomfortable places makes your kids tougher. I don't think we have the same approach in the Arkansas Regional if we didn't schedule that tough during the season last year. And it was just another tournament for our guys because of how we scheduled. And the same premise is behind this year's schedule. You know, you start off in a tournament and on the road at Coastal Carolina, you play Washington, Coastal Carolina twice, St. Joe's, you get on a bus, you go to Chapel Hill, play Carolina, go to Globe Life, play Arkansas, TCU, Michigan, right? And then go to Frisco, Texas, you play LSU, you play Nebraska and Sam Houston State. That's a good start. And our guys are built for it, and it'll be challenging. But I want the toughest team I possibly can have going into the Big 12 and into the postseason. And to me, that's the only way to do it, is to schedule that way.
Coach, how do you go about carrying the momentum of a super regional into a season, even though you lose a handful of contributors?
Yeah, you know, like I said in my opening statement, it's sustainability. That's our goal. We want to be really good year after year after year, and you know, our recruiting coordinator Ryan Conley and our staff, they're as talented as anybody in the country to reload and keep finding the pieces, whether it's on the recruiting trails or in the portal. And you know, our standard is not going to change, right? So sustainability is going to be the next jump our program makes, and I'm looking forward to watching our guys do that.
What was your mindset in the portal this offseason and getting the guys you got?
We lost a lot on the mound, you know, and we lost a first rounder in the middle of our field and in the middle of our lineup, you know. So we're going to see if it works every year for us. If there's a piece in that portal that helps us get better, then we will go after that, despite the position, despite what we have. If we can improve through the portal, our program, then our mindset is to get involved, you know. But just really to build pitching depth. I think our pitching staff was outstanding. We lost some really good pitchers from last year's team, but the depth of this year's pitching staff is our strength of our program.
What do you like most about some of those pitchers that you brought in, like Quevedo?
Well, Quevedo, you know, he pitched in a regional. Right? He's been a Friday night guy. You know, he's a proven competitor. He's made big pitches. He's been in big situations. He's got a great story. You know, family came over from Cuba. His grandparents won a lottery to go to the United States, and the grandparents gave that opportunity to Michael and his family. So he's a tough kid. And he appreciates everything that comes his way, that's for sure. But we have a lot of different pieces of the puzzle where you can match up, I think, from the fifth inning on. And I think you only get that with depth. But you have to have depth that's talented as well. And I do think we have that. But I don't know until the lights go on, honestly, you know. And I certainly think we're deep enough and good enough on the mound to do what we want to do as a pitching staff.
David, you've always been on a team that's competed for a Big 12 championship. What do you feel like it'll take for this squad this year to do that?
Yeah, I mean, we have the depth, like Coach was saying. I mean, I think the coaches did a great job in the portal to kind of replace what we lost, and not even just replace, but you know, get a lot more pieces than we needed from last year. Like the portal will be great. In those Big 12 tournaments, you know, you got to have a lot of pitching. So I think the depth from pitching, that's what's going to take us there. So.
Coach, do you feel like you're going to have the power this year that you have in the previous couple of years at the plate?
If the preseason's any indication, I would say we might have a little bit more than we had last year, you know. And yeah, I think so, Mitch. You know, I look at the number 75 for home runs. if we're 75 plus home runs, I think that's what our offense needs to get to. 300 walks, 100 stolen bases. Those are the numbers I look at, and I think we're quite capable of that. Yeah, I do.
Nick, as a freshman last year, what was the biggest lesson you learned that you're going to be able to come into this sophomore year ready to go and build off of what you did last year?
Well, I'd say the biggest lesson was just kind of playing in those big stages, learning how those older guys kind of handled them, their leadership, and I think that can be carried into this year and showing younger guys and or transfers just how we play and how we play as a family, and that's how we operate here at Kansas State.
Ty, what does this season mean for you coming back and hoping to play a full year and you're going to be one of the leaders of this team?
It means a lot just to go out there one last time, go out there, play with the boys, and win every day with the team, and just compete and stay injury free.
Coach, looking at also your defense, like you said, bringing in new players, but guys like D. Kennedy, Maximus Martin, how are they looking so far? What are your plans for them here in the early going?
Yeah, it's with the exception of David, it's a completely new look infield, and I think we've played defense at a high level in the infield for the last 3 or 4 years, and we brought in some dynamic players. D. Kennedy can play all over the field. Max Martin, very athletic, very dynamic. Seth Dardar, transfer from Columbia, he's been really impressive, and Shintaro Inouye, junior college transfer via Japan, is a highly skilled infielder. And I don't think our infield defense will take a step back with all the losses that we had. I think we're deeper. We just got to figure out where some of those guys are going to play and what's the best fit for our defensive alignment, but they're talented enough.
Coach, you mentioned the depth of pitching. With the depth of the lineup, are you able to platoon more? Will you platoon more early to play with lineups, or with that tough schedule, do you want to try and have the same 9 guys, 11 guys go out there and win every game?
I think that's the way I've done it, lately, last 3 or 4 years, and you don't really look at our stat sheet. For instance, the last 2 years, right, we were writing the same names down, and you look at our stat sheet, there's 9 guys getting the majority of the at-bats. I think our stat sheet's going to look different this year, especially after the first 10 games. And that's good. It's not a problem. I tell our guys it's a competitive level. We're fighting for playing time every day. But for me, I'd rather have a numbers problem than a lack of talent problem. I always say that. And I think it's our job to put these kids in the best position to have success. And we can match up on certain people. And I think we have the depth to do that. We got 5 guys fighting for outfield playing time right now. We got, there's 5 infielders fighting for playing time. My starting lineup changes in my head every day, and those are really good problems to have. It helps you with injury. It helps you with matchups. You get a guy you're not so dependent. You don't have to be so dependent on a guy where you have to live with a 2-week rut. You can get him out of there and get somebody fresh in there. That's always helpful. I think our stat sheet's going to look a little different this year.
And I know you talked about a lot of guys, but can you talk about catcher spot and just the options you have there?
We're pretty deep. We have Bear Matliak, who's a transfer from Jacksonville State, and Caden Phillips is a veteran of this program. Keegan O'Connor, a transfer from Quinnipiac, and Nick gives us great depth at that position. I trust those guys a ton. They're great leaders and they're tough, and everything that position warrants we have. And I don't think I have to wear one guy out for 56 games, where I don't like doing that with catchers because I think it hurts them offensively when you get into late April and May. And that's been a pleasant surprise that position has a lot of depth and a lot of character right now.
The last one for me is if you would talk a little bit about the impact that Rudy and Austin have had as assistant coaches for you.
Yeah, we do have another assistant too. It's Thomas Hughes, and I'm just saying that from a marital standpoint. I'm going to throw that out there, Small. So thank you for getting me in trouble. And I've talked to Rudy about Rudy. Since he stepped foot on our campus, our pitching went from, worst to the top of the league in every category. We don't walk people. Our kids are tough. They compete because that's what he demands every single day. I've never seen him have an off day, ever. And that's a true measure of a coach who's going to bring consistency and a same message every single day. And I talk the same with Austin Waits. They coach the 30th guy as hard as they coach the first guy, and that's how you have a healthy culture. They're fiercely loyal, hardworking. The preparation is through the roof. We may get beat talent-wise, but we'll never get out-coached. I know that. And as a head coach, that's so relieving to know that your kids are going to be in position to win every day because of what your assistants bring to the table. Austin turned down a major league job. He's one of the top coaches in the country. I'll say he's the top black coach in the country. And I think he's one of the top assistant coaches in the country. We're fortunate to have him, and Rudy's had opportunities as well. It's why our kids don't leave, our coaches don't leave, our culture's healthy. But I also know that those guys are going to go off to greener pastures at some point, as they should. But very fortunate to have the coaching staff we have in place, that's for sure, from a loyalty standpoint.
Coach, how much are you reminiscing on last season, especially at the end there, versus this team's a new slate, can't think about that, head down, keep going?
I think about it. We're a weekend away from going to where this program needs to go, and a couple balls here and there, so I think about it because it's a really small gap for us to close, and it certainly motivates me. I don't think not thinking about it to me wouldn't be advantageous. To me, it motivates us on where we have to get better, where we can close the gap, where we can go to Omaha and win a super regional. But the majority of my team wasn't there last year. So our job is to get this team, this group of guys, to play at that super regional Omaha level, and for us with our schedule as soon as possible. There can't be any growing pains with this schedule, with what we have out of the gates. We have to play meticulous, fundamental baseball with urgency, without any mistakes that usually decide a one-run game. It can't happen for us in those first 10 games. So that's been our message every day.
Ty, I know it was a decision to come back last year. The decision to come back this year, what was that like, and how does it feel to be back?
It wasn't a hard decision at all. Why go somewhere else and question how I'm going to get treated, and why it's like leaving home. Like, this is my home. I've been here. Coaches I feel like are my family, and I'm just excited to be back and get another opportunity to play baseball for Kansas State.
David, being one of the guys who's been on the roster for a little bit now, how have you grown as a leader?
Yeah, it's been great. I think that coming into the program last year, Coach Hughes had to call me out on it. It was more selfish than I should have been. I think that I was trying to prove myself here and prove that I should be in the starting lineup every day. And I had a moment with him last year, and it's kind of eye-opening, where if I'm like team first and I'm make sure whatever the team needs to do to win, then that helps me to be a better player. And that's what happened last year. So I think that's kind of how I've grown, to be team first and kind of just try to lead the guys instead of focus on how I play and how I, what I can bring to the table.
How much does that change your everyday life, switching up from being I got to prove that I belong to let's help the team win?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I can be a more, closer teammate to all the guys on the team. I can care about their success over my success, and it just brings everybody closer.
Yes, I got a couple questions for Ty. I was wondering, Ty, if you could take me back to the final 4+ innings in the championship game against, Southeast Missouri State. And Coach hands you the ball. What's going through your mind?
Just go out there and throw the rock. That's pretty much what I always think, because if I overthink, things go south. I just get in my own head, and I've been around Coach enough, and he's given me the ball in pressure situations. I shine in pressure situations, so I was ready to go, and I just knew he had the faith in me, and I had faith in myself, and just went out there and competed.
How often do you think about that?
I really don't think about it that lot. I kind of live day to day, so once that day happened, I was looking forward to Super Regional, so I look back on it maybe here and there if I see it on Twitter, but other than that, just another game to me, just going out there and throwing.
You're 100% healthy?
Yes, sir.
How does that feel?
Wonderful.
Brevity, I love it.
What have the last 8 months been like for you?
The mental side of the injury was probably the worst part I had to go through, just in my head, questioning if I'm hurt or if I'm not hurt. But once I got through that, life's been great, just day by day, getting better, getting my body right, getting closer with my teammates, growing my faith in God, and just enjoying baseball.
How excited are you to get the season underway?
So excited. Maybe some warmer weather would be nice, but I'm just excited to go out and play with these new guys and see how some of these new guys that came into our program, how they compete under the lights.
Final question for me. What have you learned most about yourself during your journey?
I think coming to K-State, I was just thinking about myself, thinking about what I can do to help me, and now I feel like I'm very selfless and just want my teammates to succeed, because their success helps me, and just pushing my teammates to be the best that they can be.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Kyan, who's kind of stepped up on and off the field for KC?
I mean, like Coach said, we've had a bunch of new guys coming into the program, and it's really competitive still in the infield. But there's multiple people in the infield that can step in and fill his role. It's almost like KC's kind of I would say, generational player. It's really lucky that we got to have him on and off the field. He was a true character, and I'm thankful that I got to get to know him, and I know everyone here was thankful, and there's still a really strong relationship with him. But we have a lot of guys that are going to fill his spot, and we're looking forward to it.
Do you feel like his presence kind of remains in the locker room, just in what he left here?
Definitely. I mean, we still talk about moments from last year, moments from a couple years ago. I got the chance to live with him freshman year, and there's always memories that come up every once in a while. So he definitely still lives here in the locker room.
One more for Kyan. So you've been here since you were a freshman, didn't play. You played a couple of years ago, didn't start. Last year you started. Now you're in a pretty big spot. So 2 questions. What do you think you've proven to get yourself to this spot now? And the second question, what do you have left to prove to continue to build that legacy?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty clear that I know the coaches know at least that I'm here to win. I don't care what my role is. If it's on the bench, cheering on my teammates, that's fine with me. I just want to win. I'll never stop working hard. I would say that I'm one of the hardest workers on this team, day in and day out. and I'm proud to say that. But I think with this year and everything that I've learned from these last couple of years, seeing really good names come through this program, I've learned a lot. And this year, I can say that I'm really prepared, and I'm excited for what I can do. I've been changing some things in my swing with Coach Waits, and I think I've made a lot of progress, and I'm looking forward to putting on a show this year.
Coach, last one for me. Just, do you look at the preseason poll at all in Big 12, and do you have any thoughts on that?
Good thing I didn't look at it last year or the year before, and just, yeah, I don't look at it. For no particular reason. I just rather drink my coffee, write my practice plan out. So, I first of all, I don't know where we ended up, but I would imagine it's pretty low. And if you look at what we lost, and you don't know our players in our program, you're probably going to vote that way. I don't know. I just got a heck of a lot of faith in these guys. They're really good players, you know, in our program, where it's at now and where it's going to stay. So,
Can't remember the reason why last year, but do you plan this year to stay away from third base and stay in the dugout?
I promised myself I would never be that old guy out at third base. I'm staying true to that promise. I also think that I'm a better manager in the dugout when we're on offense. I can talk to Rudy about pitching changes for the next half inning. I thought that went great. And it's my duty to keep growing our assistant coaches. And I think that was the next step in Thomas's growth as an assistant coach, is to be at third base. He's more of a calming presence than I am. His in-game intellect is better than mine, and these guys know it. So there wasn't any trust there was no drop-off in trust when that move was made from our players' standpoint, that's for sure. But I do think it makes me a better manager of the game being in the dugout.